Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In the world of fasting, the term insulin resistance is thrown around quite a bit. So how do you know if you're one of the individuals that fits into this category? And how does recognizing the symptoms help you to shift from being a sugar burner to a fat burner? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. So let's dive in. Hey everyone, before we get going, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as well as the notification bell if you find videos like this beneficial, because that really helps my channel. Okay, so many of you may already be familiar with the term insulin resistance and what that means. However, for those of you that are not, insulin resistance is a process that occurs over time. It is when the body becomes resistant to the insulin that is necessary in order to shuttle glucose within the cell in order to utilize it effectively as an energy source. And this results in both an elevation and a buildup in insulin levels and glucose levels, which in turn can result in excess glucose sludging around in our circulation. And unfortunately, this is not an exaggeration. Yes, our blood does become thicker and more syrupy. And you can just about imagine how this would take a toll on the body. Another issue with having this excess glucose is that our body transforms that extra glucose into fat stores as a backup energy source. And the excess insulin too continues to flood our cells and is transferred into fat storage. As a result, our metabolic processes begin to downgrade, work suboptimally, and it results in dysfunction and disease. Yes, a big problem. And as I touched upon a moment ago, being insulin resistant essentially keeps you in the sugar burner mode, when the goal of intermittent fasting is to reach metabolic flexibility and to transition from being a sugar burner to becoming an efficient fat burner. That's what we want, right? Burn, baby, burn. Yes, essentially teaching the body to use those fat stores as fuel and to effectively experience weight loss is the goal. And the body gives us quite a few cues, like when we're looking in the mirror or after we've finished a meal. And they can all point to signs that you are or are becoming insulin resistant. And that's outside of lab work, which is of course the gold standard to diagnose this condition. You may have heard me refer to metabolic syndrome in a previous video, and that's because metabolic syndrome is directly linked to insulin resistance. It is the presence of high blood pressure, high blood sugar, abnormal cholesterol levels, and an increase of fat located in the abdomen. And this information is helpful to know. This is because as you're going about your day, you may be shopping and there are blood pressure cuffs that are located at different locations. So you can stop, take a break, and check your blood pressure. If you're looking in the mirror or if you're trying on some clothes, it is fairly easy to gauge whether a fair majority of your fat is located around the belly. And belly fat is associated with visceral fat, which is linked to insulin resistance. And there are other outward signs that you can see, and that's just by looking in the mirror. So in women, for example, it's the presence of facial hair, or in women and men alike, it's the presence of darker pigmentation around the neck and the folds of the armpit or in the folds of the groin. This is known as acanthosis nigricans, and it is a sign of insulin resistance. It is also seen in individuals that may have diabetes. Also, having multiple skin tags can indicate insulin resistance. However, it's also important to note that those skin tags can be associated with skin rubbing together or loss of skin elasticity. And I bring this up because it is something that we should recognize. Oftentimes we experience an overlap in symptoms, meaning that the exact same symptoms can be associated with different conditions. And the purpose of this video is to provide awareness and to provide education about things that may have previously slipped your radar, so that you're able to reach out and discuss those symptoms with your own medical provider. The purpose is not to provide you with a diagnosis checklist, but it is to better understand how intermittent fasting can help with insulin resistance and can improve many of the symptoms discussed in this video. So, more signs of insulin resistance, in women specifically, is the presence of irregular periods, spotting, or heavier periods, alongside the presence of acne, difficulty with weight loss, or again, the presence of facial hair, as well as hair thinning. And these symptoms may coincide with difficulties associated with fertility. And that is because these symptoms may point to signs of polycystic ovarian syndrome, otherwise known as PCOS, which is a metabolic disease that is also directly associated with insulin resistance. Other symptoms to be on the lookout for include feeling foggy, tired, an ongoing lack of energy, poor sleep, or chasing those food cravings, feeling like it's nap time right after you eat. And that is because these symptoms are associated with blood glucose instability and insulin resistance. Other symptoms include feeling thirsty all the time or experiencing frequent urination, which also ties into frequent infection, which include UTIs and yeast infections. And the reason being is that bacteria thrives in a glucose-rich environment. Another symptom is experiencing difficulty with wound healing, meaning that it just seems to take a little bit longer for your cuts and wounds to heal. Another symptom includes having blurred vision. The next symptom on our list is having puffy or swollen ankles, and that is because having higher levels of insulin results in the body holding on to sodium, which in turn results in fluid retention and swelling. And some of these symptoms are associated with prediabetes, while others point to the progression of diabetes. So as you can see, there are so many signs that could be associated with insulin resistance. And unfortunately, it is easy to overlook some of these symptoms and to attribute them to something else. For example, someone with high blood pressure may not even consider the possibility that they also have insulin resistance. They may completely overlook that they are also packing away more fat around their midsection. Or the exact same scenario in someone that has elevated cholesterol. There is oftentimes a buildup of symptoms that may indicate insulin resistance. And what medical professionals commonly see is that it is not uncommon for individuals to come in with one criteria of metabolic syndrome and to also have another marker found during that visit, or for the individual to develop other conditions later on. And obesity is a large factor because obesity is of course linked to insulin resistance. And I'm not trying to use any fear or scare tactics. My purpose entirely is to provide education that is going to make you a stronger advocate for yourself. And so that if you have any symptoms that you have been questioning or considering, you have the confidence to bring it up to your own medical provider. I always say that having that knowledge base makes us greater advocates in our own health. And here's the key question that I have come across, and it is individuals wondering whether having insulin resistance means that you're a poor candidate to bring intermittent fasting into your lifestyle, or does it mean that you can't lose weight? And the answer is an emphatic no, not at all. And that is because intermittent fasting is essentially a key component to addressing insulin resistance as well as helping you to become more insulin sensitive. And there are a variety of windows of time-restricted eating that you can utilize to meet your specific needs and your level of flexibility. I go over this topic in a previous video. Please feel free to check out this link for more information. So, recognizing that you're more insulin resistant and thus battling to move past the sugar burner mode may mean that you need to become more nutrition and carb savvy in order to reduce food intake that is going to perpetuate the cycle of insulin resistance and drag it out essentially, as well as make it harder for you to experience the results that you're looking for. Individuals may actually quit thinking that intermittent fasting was not part of their weight loss solution without addressing other factors to reduce insulin resistance and optimize their results. Also, the longer that you've been insulin resistant is actually tied directly to chronically elevated insulin levels. So even though you're fasting, your insulin levels may naturally remain more elevated than in someone that hasn't had insulin resistance for nearly as long or to the degree that you may have. Intermittent fasting is not a race and healing takes time. So give yourself some grace. If you're not experiencing those weight loss results right away, don't compare yourself to everyone else. Keep going at your own pace. And of course, addressing your food intake helps. I can do a follow-up video to discuss additional things that you can do to reduce insulin resistance and help with those results in order to better help you reach your goals. Please leave a comment down below and let me know if that is something that you would be interested in. Another thing that I want to be sure to mention is that I'm working on an opportunity to provide you with more of an insider's look at topics and research that I find interesting and want to pass along to you. So please take a look at the description down below for more information on what I have yet to come. Okay, everyone, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this information helpful. And please be sure to check out this playlist for more tips for those of you that may be newer to intermittent fasting. Or check out this video if you're interested in finding out more about the key differences between or the health benefits in time-restricted eating versus extended fasting. Okay, everyone, I'll see you in the next one.